So this silly little guy named Ace of Spades made this silly little video about this other silly little guy named Supernova Hypernova. And for some reason, a lot of people have been telling me to cover this video because they think I care about Supernova Hypernova, which I don't know why. Like, what's up with you guys, man? Stupid bit aside, yeah, Ace did make a video, quote unquote, responding to the controversy, and I'm gonna talk about it today, but it's not in the way you might think. That's why I called it a quote unquote response, because that sounds mean, that sounds like I'm discrediting Ace, but as we'll get into, that's not what I'm trying to do. And I just want to get two things out of the way before we go into this video. I will not be covering the whole video since the first 10 minutes he goes into his struggles with mental illness, which makes sense. It's his prerogative, and that's kind of important to know when considering everything between me and Ace. And I don't really want to cover it since it's not my business. It's not my place to cover that. Plus, it hits close to home anyways, and I don't really like divulging personal information to just a whole bunch of people. So, yeah. Two, if I catch any of the people who he mentioned were going after him and discrediting his mental illness, I'm going to cut them off immediately, block them on all social medias, and ban them from any place that I have any semblance of power over, because I do not fuck with that shit. Me and Ace were once cool, and even during that time when we were cool, he's frequently told me about his struggles with mental illness, him going to therapy, his struggles with finding the right medications and other treatments for his mental illness, which he wouldn't really need to do since we were cool at that point if he was trying to, fake it. This is definitely a real thing that he unfortunately has to suffer through. And as someone who has also suffered through deep mental illness, the worst of the worst, I do not fuck with discrediting the mentally ill at all. I do not. That is like one of my no-go, no exceptions, no tolerance things on this channel. You got those two things out of the way? Cool. Let's get into why I say this isn't a response. This is like my third time trying to record this part of the video, but I finally have my thoughts in order, so let's hope this goes well. So, there's a few reasons I say that this isn't a response at all, and that sounds malicious, but again, I don't mean it to be malicious, and I'll get into that now. So the reason I say it's not a response is because it really isn't. The video is more or less focused on his mental struggles and how he's tried to change as a person and how his mental issues have affected him, his content, and him as a person, and how he's trying to change for it. Which, again, no shade to Ace. I'm glad he's speaking up on that because I think mental illness deserves much more to be talked, much more recognition, much more conversation about it, and I'm really glad Ace felt okay and in the right headspace enough to talk about that to such a large audience of people, because that's a sign that he's getting better and getting more comfortable with talking about himself and taking accountability, which is a good first step. But at the same time, that brings a double-edged sword effect, since while he does spend a lot of time talking about his mental illness, he doesn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the controversy between me, him, and many others. It's only around 2 minutes, and it's mostly an apology towards me, which again, I don't have a problem with. I actually want to come out here and say thank you, Ace, for finally addressing it. I do think it was sincere, and I do appreciate it coming out. But the thing is, compared to the rest of the video, the apology was minuscule. Like, 2 minutes out of a 23-minute video for an apology for a controversy that could have its own video that is almost as big or bigger than the Clay video. That's the amount of stuff that Ace has done. So how does that make him bringing up his mental illness bad? It doesn't at all, really. But the thing about him bringing up his mental illness before bringing up that is it muddies the water between what's relevant and what's not. That double-edged sword effect I talked about earlier. Because with people who support me, are loyal to me, and already have their notions of Ace, they're just going to see this as purely manipulative, and I can't really blame them, since, doing a whole spiel for 10 minutes about your mental health, basically wearing your heart on your sleeve for 10 minutes and only apologizing to someone who you've hurt and done a lot of, reputation damage to over the course of a whole year and a half, does seem really manipulative, even if I don't believe it to be so. Basically, for Ace's fans, they're just gonna see, oh, my favorite creator who I've put up on a pedestal is now deeply hurting and talking about his hurt over the years. Wow, I feel really bad. Let me go show him some support. Which I don't think is a bad thing. I actually think it's good that people are supporting Ace for the stuff he talked about, since I do think are mentally ill do not get enough recognition and do not get enough support, especially people with major depressive disorder and borderline personality disorder like Ace has. Stuff like that is very underrepresented in modern culture and in the mainstream, and the major representations of it are often negative or don't fully encapsulate it the right way. So again, it's really good to see that there's support for him, but at the same time, it muddies the water, since his fans don't really focus on the bad stuff that he did or his flaws as a person. They only focus on wanting him to get better, which again, I understand, just like I understand how my fans would see this as manipulative. So Nova, if this is all bad to you, him talking about his mental illness and a controversy like this in the same video, what do you propose? You're talking a lot of stuff, but what do you want to do to fix it? That's a great question, and I have an answer. If I were Ace, I would have cut this video into two. One video talking about my mental illness, since I do think his mental struggles is something he's wanted to address for a while to his wider audience. He just hasn't either been comfortable or in the right headspace enough. And making an entirely different video to address the entire controversy, because again, it doesn't span just me. Plenty of people were hurt, and plenty of people were done wrong by Ace, Diamond, Saren, me, Forsaken. I could go on. And the damage he did isn't just minuscule, obviously. The fact that, the fact that I even still talk about him to this day can be a testament to that. But there's also a thing that I think reflects this even deeper. And that's that despite Ace publicly admitting that he's wrong, despite us proving that Ace is wrong, despite everything that's come out, Ace's I'll just call it as it is. Even if that wasn't his intention, it was still manipulative behavior. Ace's manipulation and misrepresenting of us as people has gone so deep and has been so effective that there are people to this day who still do not trust me, Ace, Saren, Forsaken, or a lot of the other people he's talked down about because of what he said. They even admit themselves that they know Ace is wrong, they know the stuff Ace said is wrong, but they still don't really trust us either because of it. Which you could argue isn't Ace's fault. That's their own stubbornness, that's their own flaws, which again, that's valid, because even the man who started the rumors himself has admitted that the rumors were false, yet you're still believing that the rumors are true. That's kind of on you. But at the same time, I think that just goes to show how much influence and how much negative impact Ace has had over us, which he even admits to himself in the video. He says that he's not used to having this sort of power, and he's only just now coming to terms with the fact that he does in fact have influence over people, and he does in his own little way have power over people and what they think, see, and believe. Which, yeah, that's true, and it obviously needs way more talking about than just a 2-minute apology addressed to just one person. This is a myriad of other issues that goes so complex, which, like I said, or maybe I said this in one of the past recordings, it could very well be as long as, if not longer than, my longest exposés, like the Clay video or the Sarunia videos. So that's all I really wanted to come on here to say. I'm aware that there's some people in my audience who probably thought I was gonna do some corny shit like epically taking down EAceS's apology, why EAceS is a bad person, which, no. If you think I actually do that, you clearly must be sniffing some sort of copium. Either Clay's lies about me or EAceS's own lies about me, because that's not how I am as a person. That's not what Flaws and Sins or Let's Talk About It, which is Saren's IP, wasn't supposed to be about. It was, again, to just point out the flaws and sins of someone or talk about an issue with someone. And that's exactly what I'm doing today. So, TLDR, summary, recap, basically, EAceS's video, I don't really have any major objections to it. I just don't like how it was set up. I feel like the way it was set up is both hurtful to the accountability and addressing both what he did and to the focus on his own mental illness, the central point of the video, since it alienates both his fan base and mine, since my fan base, my supporters, think that EAceS is just manipulative, and this is another manipulation tactic to quote-unquote take accountability while still having the upper hand. Meanwhile, his fans don't even bat an eye to the stuff he admits that he does, and all of the negative aspects and flaws of his character, which goes against his very wishes. So that's all I really want to talk about. That's all I really have to say. If I have anything more to say, I guess I'll just update this video, maybe leave a comment. If I have a lot more to say, I'll maybe make a part 2. But yeah, that's about it. See ya.